folks, I'm back again with a new figure review. Yes, we have a gigantic, and it's from GMK, which means I have to start the credits off like this. April 2000, right back at you with another figure review. And today, yes, I am doing finally I get my chance to do a review on this guy. Yes, I'm doing the X-Plus Gigantic Series reissue of GMK Bluefin Rickboard Edition. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot for one title. But yes, I finally get a chance to review this figure. Yes. I got this figure around a month ago. You know what I mean? It first came out like around, I would say September of last year. Yeah, September of last year of 2016. And that was a month that was just full of releases from X-Plus. The X-Plus 25cm Legion, the 25cm Godzilla 1973, and I think a couple other things. And this came in like towards the second half of the month. And I was finally able to get my hands on it. So you know I would do things around here. Let's get into the box before we get into the figure. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put up the graphic now of the box. And here are the boxes. Actually, these are the boxes of this issue of GMK, this reissue of GMK, and the original box. So you see them side by side. Pretty much the same type of artwork, you know, whatever, with the silhouette of Godzilla on the front or whatever. Now, mind you, the reissue is the one on the right-hand side, and the original one is on the left-hand side. So as you can see, very similar boxes when it comes to this gigantic GMK. And I really like the box. As a matter of fact, I'm keeping both since they're both like furniture pieces here in my man cave. But yes, let me just get into a little bit of history about me and this figure. Once again, like I said, it came out September of 2016 last year. And originally I wasn't going to get this, you know, because I would just, I don't know what I was thinking. As a matter of fact, history kind of repeats itself, because when the first original GMK Gigantic was released, I passed on that as well. I was like, you know what, I don't want it, because I thought, you know, at that point I had the 30cm GMK from X-Plus, and I was perfectly fine with that. You know, even though I love GMK, and as I've said before many times in other videos, it's my wife's favorite Godzilla movie, and it's my favorite from the Millennium series. So I was content with the 30cm. But then I noticed her enthusiasm about wanting the gigantic GMK, so I ended up getting it like long time after it was released, and I paid well above market value for it. And what I should have done was pre-ordered it when it first came out, and then just try to work my way, out from there, or whatever. And the same thing happened here. I was like, you know what? As a matter of fact, this is the new me that's open to more figures and just different figures. I'm more open now. The new me the old me was like this. Already got one. I don't need another one. Why would I need another one? You know what I mean? I mean, this is the best GMK out there. So why do I need another gigantic GMK? Why do I need it? I don't need it. I don't want it. Why? I mean, ask yourself, why do I need another one? Why do I need another gigantic GMK? Why? Yeah, that was the old me, and I want to shout out a couple people that kind of nudged me into getting this figure. First of all, Edwin Talavera, because as a matter of fact, when this was announced last year, he was like the first ones to approach me. Everybody knows I'm into the gigantic series. I can't say no to the X-Plus Gigantic Series. And he was the first one to reach out to me and say, hey, you gonna get it? And blah, blah, blah. And basically I said what I said just now. I'm not into it. I'm good with what I have. And, you know, whatever. And then later on, my brother from another mother, Eric Henry, he nudged me to get this figure as well. He was like, man, you know, it's GMK. I know you love GMK, so why don't you get it? And I was like, well, you know, I was still on the fence about getting it, you know, because I didn't want to pay this much for it, considering what else I was getting last year, because they bombarded us with so many figures last year that I couldn't really fit it into my budget. So that was really the main reason why I didn't want to get it. So I ended up getting it, you know, through their persuasion. Thank you, fellas. I appreciate it. And yes, and pretty much it's basically the same figure as the original Gigantic GMK. You know what I mean? I mean, because God forbid if you buy two the same figure. I mean, what sense does that make? Really? What crack are you smoking? Well, anyways, it's pretty much the same figure. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna do the size comparison or just comparison in general, and we'll just jump head first into the comparison in a few seconds. But let me just say, I really do love this figure. You know, I'm glad I got it. It's just an awesome representation of the GMK Godzilla, even though it's stylized. This is not how it was in the film. We all know that. It's really no different than the original Gigantic GMK, and this is actually the fourth edition or fourth release from X-Plus as far as like this version of Godzilla, you know, the GMK. The original Gigantic GMK came out in 2013. Then they released two separate kits where you can build and paint it, you know, like this or whatever you're liking. They came out one with regular fins that came with the original GMK, and the other kit came with translucent fins, which you see right here. And this was the last release for the Gigantic GMK from X-Plus. So this is nice. And also as a Rip Boy edition, it comes with this little base that has the Japanese language title of the film, Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Attack, as well as the sub here. The sub that has a D3 missile attached to it. And upon research, I mean, this basically is like a symbol of how the movie ended, you know, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. But this sub was actually used for the 25cm GMK Rip Boy edition. You know, this sub came with it. So they basically just reissued or reused this rig option for another figure release. It's not uncommon for X-Plus to do that, because, you know, with the upcoming 30cm Burning Godzilla, you know, it's coming with the Oxygen Destroyer. And then of course they use the Oxygen Destroyer, even though it's a different color with the upcoming 30cm Burning Godzilla. They used the Oxygen Destroyer obviously with the Rip Boy option of the Gigantic Burning Godzilla, the original Godzilla 30cm 1954, as well as the Wonderfest natural color version. They use the Oxygen Destroyer piece for that. So it's not uncommon for X-Plus to use past pieces and repackage them into new pieces. And I like it. You know, I really do like it. So more overall impressions of this figure, I love it. I'm glad I got it. Thank you, fellas. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm just surprised it took me, I mean, not took me this long to get it, but, you know, I'm just astounded at myself for not wanting it the first time. Like I said, because of budgetary reasons, I couldn't get it. But I finally got my hands on it, and I love it. I really do love it. As a matter of fact, this is due for a diamond reissue real soon. Not with the base, obviously, but I think, not the base. Just the figure itself is going to be reissued through Diamond. The first Gigantic to be reissued through Diamond distributors. It should have been released the 1st of January or the 4th of January. But according to John Stanowski from Kaiju Addicts, he informed us on Facebook as well on his website that they have been delayed. I believe they're still on the cargo ship heading towards America. So whoever who pre-ordered this from Diamond or whatever, trust me, they're on their way to you. And once you get it, you will be in hog heaven. Yes, if you're a fan of the Gigantic, if you're a fan of GMK, this is the piece for you. You know what I mean? So as a matter of fact, let's go with the with the comparison between the new guy and the old guy. All right, let's go. Okay, folks, this is the first comparison. Oh yes, I'm going to be brief with this because I don't want to the review and size comparisons, but I couldn't help but to put these two guys together. And of course, I'm talking about the original Gigantic GMK, love this guy, as well as his new reissue here, the blue fin. And it's the exact same sculpt, you know what I mean? They're both the exact same sculpt and pose. It's just that the alternate paint scheme on this one is different. It's just darker, and of course it has the blue translucent dorsal plates, where the other dorsal plates are just strict vinyl. But they really are really great pieces. I think the eyes on this one is different than the ones on this one. Of course, it has no pupils, but I think the color scheme on this one has a more bluish grayish in the outskirts of his pupils here, of his eyes, where this one has more of a dark grayish color. You probably can't tell, but that's how it is. So yes, this is so nice. I'm so glad I finally got this. And they look well together. They really do look well together. And but yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's see what else, if I can look any further deeper in this thing. Of course, the paint scheme is darker on the mouth of the reissue in comparison to this one. Let's see, the dorsal plates, like I said, are popping with the translucent blue all over the back, as well as, you know, with the original white, you know, off bone white color. Let's see, the toes. The toes are more off bone white color, like his dorsal plates on the original here. And the reissue has more of a dark brownish color, somewhat. Has more of a dark tint on his toes, and as well as his claws here. And likewise with the toes on this one, is more like the claws on this one. So, but both are really great pieces. Really are great representations of the GMK Godzilla. And it just reinforces the fact that I kind of wish we could have saw this in the film with Godzilla in this form, because this is a really scary looking Godzilla. And I can't wait until the upcoming Gigantic Series Shin Godzilla comes, because I said this before on Facebook, when I get my hands on that one, I'm going to put either this one or this one next to that one, put it on one shelf, because you know, between those two big beasts, it's going to take up one big shelf, and I'm going to call it the Godzilla's Gonna Kill You shelf. You know what I mean? Because they both represent probably the most monstrous / destructive, evil, or just heinous and just despicable and just all-powerful versions of Godzilla, the GMK as well as Shin Godzilla. So I can't wait to put those two gigantic beasts together. But until then, I'm fine with just these two right here. So trust me, if you're on the fence about getting this, because if you already have the original and you don't want to spend that kind of cash on this one, trust me, if you love GMK and you can spare it, this really is worth the investment. The darker paint scheme is really nice. It adds more depth, and it adds more a different type of tone to this figure. And so even though it's the same figure, you know, you get something different because of the paint scheme. And whether you go for the diamond or whether you go for this rip board right here, you can't go wrong with it, you know. So yeah, this is awesome. This is really awesome. All right, so let's go with one more size comparison, and then we'll wrap up this review. All right, let's go. Okay, folks, this is the last size comparison, and yes, this is so awesome because I've been thinking about doing this shot for a long time. And this is, I mean, even though these monsters have nothing to do with the original, with GMK. And of course, I'm talking about the Batra, it's a 30cm Batra from X-Plus, the 25cm Barugon from Gamma vs. Barugon set that came out through X-Plus last year. And this, of course, is a Ghidorah Ghidorah kit that you have seen in other videos before. Mind you, X-Plus will be releasing this as a vinyl figure sometime this year, so be on the lookout for that. But the reason why I put these three together with this GMK Godzilla, because this is, to me, I would call it fantasy booking, and I would call this an all-evil version of GMK. And here's my rationale for it. To me, I think the best way to defeat an evil Godzilla is maybe with an evil creature. You know what I mean? Because basically Godzilla steamrolled through his opposition in GMK. But for fantasy booking purposes, let's just say in alternate realities, he was opposed by Mothra's nemesis, or the Black Mothra in Batra. Instead of Baragon, you know, from Toho, let's try an evil version with Barugon. And of course, instead of the GMK King Ghidorah, which was the hero in that film. How about an alternate twisted version of King Ghidorah with Ghidorah? So that's the reason why I wanted to put these here as a size comparison for fantasy booking. You know, because sometimes it takes evil to defeat evil. You know, so I think it looks nice together. You know what I mean? This is just my opinion. Of course, I'm sure a lot of folks now will agree with that. Maybe some folks that will. But if you get this figure, maybe you can put this together, because I like putting my figures with setups. You know what I mean? And this is nice. This is nice now that I finally got it together. Sorry that the camera's shaking. I'm just excited. You know what I mean? But it's nice to have like an all evil version of GMK. I guess if that's the case, would that make Godzilla good since he was evil? But whatever. It's nice. Batra, Baragon, Ghidorah. You think they have a chance against King Ghidorah? Once you pop down, Batra, Baragon, Ghidorah. Do you think they have a chance against this Godzilla? Why don't you pop down in the comment section and let me know what you think about this fantasy booking? You know? But hey, it's always cool to think about what could have happened or what would happen if these monsters got together. Alright, so let me finish up this review, and that'll be it. Thanks so much. Alright, let's go. Okay, I'm back with my thoughts of GMK, and I make no bones about it. This is one of my most favorite Godzilla films of all time. As a matter of fact, it's probably number 8. Yeah, it's probably my 8th favorite Godzilla film. And I've said in many past videos that the issues that I have with this film, and I've talked about it over and over and over and over again, is the fact that, you know, Godzilla was able to steamroll over Mothra and King Ghidorah. And I'm a King Ghidorah fan, but I know why they did it. I know the premise. I know the reason why they did it. They had Godzilla steamroll over his opposition to make him look stronger. I am fine with that. I'm on board with that concept. But to me, I didn't think that you have to sacrifice King Ghidorah's and Mothra's reputation for that to happen. You know, because even if King Ghidorah and Mothra were their regular form, like they were in the show, if they were bigger, whatever, Godzilla still was able to defeat, let's say, for example, Biollante, and Biollante was twice as big as him, and he was able to steamroll through her. And in the next film, Godzilla was King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah was bigger than him, and Godzilla was still able to steamroll through him. So I understand what they were trying to do, but I just can't buy that argument that they had to make them smaller, make them weaker to make Godzilla look stronger, because to me, you didn't really have to do that. And a lot of things that I talk about when it comes to this film, I mean, that's like my main reason why why GMK is not in the top 5 for me. But now that I had this Ripboard piece, it really reminds me of the ending. And this one thing I don't really talk about. I'm not really a big fan of the ending of GMK. You know, I mean, at least how Godzilla dies. You know, I just have a hard time just believing, or at least accepting the fact that Godzilla was able to go through everything he went through in that film. He rampaged his way through across Japan. Nothing was able to stop him. Not Mothra, not Baragon, not King Ghidorah, not even the military. To a point, he was able to go through all that, and yet he was defeated, or at least he defeated himself, because the D3 missile was shot in him. You know, this D3 missile was shot in him, and the wound kind of expanded, and he basically blew up. You know, whatever. My only issue with that is the fact that we didn't see him blow up. I know it's kind of a morbid way of thinking, but I think for Godzilla to be this evil and this heinous, I think it would have been more better. It would have been better served to see him get his comeuppance, to see him meet his demise, to see him actually blow up. Because you remember what happened? Godzilla's in the water. You know, he's about to blow his fire on the sub. The wound kind of gets wider and wider and brighter. Excuse me. And then the next thing we go back up the top of the surface where we are in the back of the protagonist, the human protagonist, and we just see a big explosion. And then the next thing we go back to the military headquarters, or wherever they were monitoring the monster action. He was like, Godzilla's dead. Godzilla's dead. You know, he's gone, or whatever. I just kind of wish that we would have saw him blow up, that we would have saw him get what he had coming to him. You know, I think it would have made the story just a little bit better, or at least it would have brought a little bit closure. But by him dying off screen, kind of took me out of it. However, they did make up for it at the very, very end when we see Godzilla's beating heart at the end and his iconic theme music playing in the background. And, you know, I mean, it does make up for that, but I kind of wish that we would have saw Godzilla die. I mean, I know that's kind of a weird thing coming from a Godzilla fan, but still, I love this version of Godzilla. I love the villain Godzilla. I love the evil Godzilla. I love the destructive Godzilla, and I just would have been loved to see he get what he had coming to him, to see him get his comeuppance, but it was not to be. But, and I also, like I said, I don't like how they weaken Mothra and King Ghidorah's character. If we're up to me, let's go with another fantasy booking. You know, I talked about fantasy booking earlier with Batra, Baragon, and Ghidorah. But if we're up to me, or if I was in charge of booking this thing, what I would have done, I would have had Godzilla not kill Baragon in the beginning. Baragon would have somehow survived. Maybe he would have burrowed away before Godzilla incinerated him with his blast. And he would have shown up at the very end to help King Ghidorah and Mothra battle Godzilla. And obviously, in my opinion, if you take a page out of a certain show or film in a 3-on-1 situation, and of course I'm talking about Ghidorah, three-headed monster. And if you think about that film, you know, what happened in the film? King Ghidorah comes down, Godzilla and Rodan are fighting amongst each other. Mothra comes in to try and persuade Rodan and Godzilla to help her out. What happens? Godzilla tries to take on King Ghidorah. He couldn't do it on his own. Rodan tried to take on King Ghidorah. He couldn't do it on his own. Mothra tried to take on King Ghidorah. She couldn't do it on her own. The only way they were able to defeat King Ghidorah is because they concentrated their efforts and used the numbers game to their advantage. I wish that they could have done the same thing in GMK, where you could have had maybe Mothra, Baragon show up, and King Ghidorah show up and take on Godzilla all at the same time. You know, maybe Mothra attacks from the sky like Rodan did. Maybe Baragon would have burrowed his way all around Godzilla, something like that. King Ghidorah would have handled Godzilla from the front, which is basically a reversal of what happened in Ghidorah Three-Headed Monster, where Godzilla was attacking King Ghidorah from the front. I think if you combine all those elements, and then, like I said, have Baragon burrow around Godzilla and have them all attack at once, then you throw the military in, and they would have bombarded with Godzilla with those lethal D3 missiles, and then have like a big giant explosion where basically the monsters come together and realize they have to sacrifice themselves to defeat Godzilla, in which they do, and it's like a big giant explosion. Then you can lead towards the end where you see Godzilla's heart beating at the bottom of the ocean or wherever. I think that would have been cool, because it would have made King Ghidorah and Mothra and Baragon look stronger without sacrificing Godzilla's character instead of the other way around. So hey, that's a little fantasy booking on my end or whatever. And just one of the cool things when you have figures like this, you can look at them and just admire them and just think about what could have happened. You know what I mean? So hey, that's just fantasy booking on my part, you know, whatever. So that's what I would have done if I was in the director's chair. But at the same time, I still love GMK. I love it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to watch it after I'm done putting this review together. And yeah, so I love GMK, in case you hadn't noticed. But pretty much that concludes my review of the X-Plus Gigantic Series reissue of GMK Bluefin Rick Boy Edition. If you have any questions, holler me down in the comment section or hit me up on Facebook via Mark Calloway. We definitely go from there. Check out KaijuAddicts.com for all things X-Plus, as well as Jonathan Outski's YouTube channel, Kaiju Addicts. And like I said before, this really is a great piece to have. You know what I mean? I see him still out there, this Rick Boy Edition. Every now and then, you know, you're going to spend some money for him. But if he's worth it to you, I suggest, yeah, go for the investment. If not, wait for Diamond when it comes soon. Hopefully it comes soon. I think Biollante, the Diamond reissue Biollante is coming out real soon. And people have been waiting for that forever. So maybe this Gigantic GMK should not be far behind. And if it's not, please do what you can to get this figure. You will not be disappointed with this figure. The X-Plus Gigantic Series GMK Bluefin Rick Boy Edition, or the Diamond reissue of this same figure. Alright? I thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all again on this figure and movie review. Alright? Y'all take it easy.